So, this unknown person who's here, whose name happens to appear up there, Sally Toye, has done some amazing things. She's done the Tevis Cup, she's done the Cairngorm 100, and I listened to her talking about the Cairngorm 100 at Red Dragon 2-3 years ago.
Yep.
And this year she did something even more spectacular. So I know that she's going to keep you very interested. And later on we will find the video with what's in Sally's bum bag.
Excellent.
Also very interesting and quite very useful. So Sally, thank you so much for coming. And I know we're all really looking forward to hearing and seeing what you can do.
I can't hear anyone.
Yes, but I can't talk when you're talking, so it works much better if I do. Couple of things before I start. Do you want my greatest tip for 2018?
Yes, please.
Really?
Yeah.
Really? Okay, I do a bit of running now. And these peculiar items are runners' compression socks. And I wore them the other day riding on the beach, covered in salt water, no rubs. I didn't have anything else on my legs at all. I'm going to pass them around. They're clean. They're a bit damp still, but they are just brilliant. And you know, who gets sore calves when they ride on that first ride of the season? And the next day you go down the stairs and you think, oh, bother. So that's my tip for 2008. I want them back. They're nice Nike ones. 18, sorry. What else have we got for you? Do you know, back in 1996, I came to Iceni Group, and it was the first ever talk I ever did. So thank you for being inviting me back. What happened to the last 20 years? You know, where did it go? Yes, thank you for inviting back. Thank you for feeding me. And, you know, it just saves going around to the gas station at the end of the talk. It really does. I had a lovely time in 2017 at one of your rides. I've told so many people about it. Not only do you have smiley people, but actually, best of all, there's a man with an espresso van. And he came round my lorry. And as you'll hear from the Mongol Derby talk, I'm obsessed by coffee. I love coffee. And to see this in the wilds of Poplar Park, an espresso man, it's just made my dreams come true. Let's do questions at the end. And also, I'm going to be asking for money. Everyone does this these days. Steve has very kindly lent me a hat. And I'm going to pass it around at the end because I do everything I can with these talks to raise a bit of money for the Cairngorm ride. Who's heard of the Cairngorm ride? All of you, because she actually mentioned it, so got ya. Anyway, just some change or something, because Clive needs to raise something like £7,000 or £8,000 each time they put it on, and it's not an EGB ride as we know, and it's the only 100 that the riders like you and me will probably get to do because of various things. So I'm going to pass it around at the end. Is that okay? Ooh. Yes, thank you. Thank you for saying yes. Right. Mongol Derby. Who's heard of the Mongol Derby? Yes. What is it? Who's brave enough to say what it is? Apart from madness.
Do you ride 1,000 miles across the Mongolian plains?
Yes. It's kilometres, but it feels like miles. Yes, you do. And is it all on the same horse?
No.
Oh, what's it on then? Yeah, feral little. Yes. Yes, those things. Who fancies doing it? Oh, rock on! That's fantastic. Who thinks they wouldn't know where to start with their preparation? Me too. That's where I was a year ago. Yes, please. And a year ago, I finally realised that the time had come after 9 years of being in denial and in this nice little comfort zone. The time had finally come to go, okay, I'll do it. As you know, I love the ultra end of endurance. And for me, I love going and riding 22 hours and doing all that stuff. And it's the same as what you're doing, it's just slightly longer. That's the only difference. It really is. And a slightly different mindset. That's all it is. Ask any Tevis Cup rider. They will tell you all about that. So, after 9 years of sitting in my comfort zone and going, oh no, I'll get hurt. Oh no, I finally said, I'll do it. And a friend of mine said, go and do a different ride every year. Well, last year I did. So, to get on the Mongol Derby, and today I'm going to talk about the what, how, when, what if, and everything else. So you'll see a bit of the preparation, you'll see going out there, you'll see training out there, you'll see the ride itself, and the oh my God afterwards, which is quite a big thing. Because this has been a life changer for me. This has reinforced so many things, and it's changed me as a person, and I'm grateful for that opportunity. So, you send the adventurous a little email saying, I think I'd like to do it. And you fill in a form saying why you'd like to do it. And they give you a phone interview. They didn't bother with me for some reason. They then tell you the price tag, which is $12,500. If you say it quickly, it's not so bad. And also this year, instead of being £10,000, it's $8,300 because the exchange rate's so much better. You also have to raise a grand for Cool Earth, which is an environmental charity. You're going to spend £250 on vaccinations because you don't want tick-borne encephalitis, rabies, hepatitis and all the other stuff that comes with being in a country that has different diseases than we have. You're going to have to buy visa, flights, accommodation. You're going to have to buy an amazing array of kit, which is going to take a lot of time to sort out because you're allowed to take 5 kilos with you. That's really going to help, isn't it? That includes all your bedding. So, and also for the men, they need to be below 85 kilos. So day before weigh-in, were they eating? It sounded like me on a diet. It really was. It was hilarious. So I sat there in January thinking, oh boy, what am I going to do? And then this email arrived and, oh, another slide. Yes, please. Before that email arrived, you get to look at the course, although you don't see this till about a week before the ride. So it is 1,020 kilometres, 1,300 horses, mountains, rivers, sand. Try dressing for that with 5 kilos, 100 crew members, 27 horse stations and 43 riders. Ooh, interesting. Yes, please. So, in January, this email popped up and it said, we're going to let 10 riders test the saddles as long as you bring it out with you to Mongolia. So I got hold of this Franco saddle from South Africa and I tested it and rode in it, and I was very grateful for that actually. It's got a high front and back. You might need that later. We'll come back to that. And it has these fenders which are something else. Who gets rubs behind the knee when they ride? Yeah, I do too. You don't with these puppies. That's the bit that goes into the saddle. That's the bit that goes to your leg with a stirrup at the bottom, and they're the most comfortable things on the planet. I kept mine. You'll see them out there this season. Woohoo! I realised fairly quickly with this preparation that I didn't have the knowledge to do ultra endurance. I've done 100 milers, I've done stuff, but day after day after day. So I got a team together. Han from Alla Ride helped me hugely with my own diet because you're about to assault your gut with more flora that you've never come across and probably less food than you've had in many years. And if you get your gut really healthy first, oh, it helps. It does mean the cake's well absorbed though and you put on weight. But there you go. I had also Claire from Rider Size. There was a white shirt around, I think it's fallen on the floor. Yes, it has. Claire set up a company that gets riders fit. Riders fit with the sort of exercises that help riders ride their horses. I have a core now, and I can use that core. And in the whole of the Derby, I didn't get any muscle pains. I didn't have any stiffness. I had long-term fatigue, that's different. But because she trained me so well, I was well prepared. Maggie Pattinson is the Derby guru. She knows what she's talking about. She's been there on every single Derby, all 9 of them. And she gives you these little snippets of information, because you kind of want it all, but you don't. Because it is kind of scary. And I was scared about this because I didn't want to get hurt. So she helped me as well. I also was very well supported by Elevar. Elevar are a nutrition company who do sports pre, during and after drinks for endurance athletes, like runners and cyclists and triathletes. And then I popped up and said, hello, can I have some products? And they were like, what do you do? So I told them about it, and they're like, yeah, sure, do us a blog. So I did some work with them. Their products are superb. In whatever you're doing in your season riding your horse, you're doing endurance. If you're doing something for more than 2 hours, are you feeding yourself before, during, after? Are you helping yourself be better? Because you can. And it still means that you have the cake. With this group, I also heard from another Derby rider that it would be a really good idea to go to these people in Hemel Hempstead. They are the horseback centre of horseback riding and archery. They're a bunch of very nutty people who teach people how to fall off, what to do when your horse rears, and how to get on and off your horse. And I'm going to save you a broken ankle here, because when we get off our horse, it's usually here, and our ankles are facing that way, aren't they? What happens if your horse takes off? You fall over, and you fall over that way, sideways, don't you? And one of our riders in the southeast broke her ankles this year, or one of them, because the ankle went like that, and she was taken off and dragged, and her body weight broke her bones. You need to be facing this way, especially when you get off. So you might thank me one day, but then again, you might just tell someone and save someone a broken ankle. Really good. So they taught me lots of stuff. They also taught me what to do for horse rears. And what you do is you do not pull back, because otherwise the horse will fall backwards. You get yourself forward and grab some mane. And this is me on a lovely pony. He's so cute. You just gave him a click and off he went. It was so much fun. It was. And all these things that I did gave me that little extra bit of confidence to know that I'd stretch my own boundaries of knowledge and experience. I was also riding a friend's horse that bronked. And when it first bronked, I was overjoyed. I was on some common land, bronky across it, and all the dog walkers are spreading out. And I'm just having this amazing time, because I'm like, it's bronking! Fantastic! Because you want this experience, because it might happen to you. So, not there yet. With all this, around about August, you travel out to Ulaanbaatar via Moscow, because it's kind of the only way to do it. And you stay in a Holiday Inn, and I arrive the day there to think, oh, Sally, what have you done? Because this was a huge thing for me to do. I'd avoided it for so long, and the more I avoided it, the more it was kind of like, there, do it. And soon that day finished. And it was on to the next day, and the next day was training. We did a day's training in the hotel, which was all about your tracker, the management, how they look after the horses, the vets, etc. And that went really cool. Next, you go out to basically a field in Outer Mongolia. And these are your 43 compatriots. Bearing in mind, you're probably not going to see 20 of them again, because you're all going to get split up, and 20 won't make the finish, as a minimum. They're going to be hospitalised, they're going to quit. You know, this gets serious a bit. That's me in the orange, because I wanted to stand out. That's how it goes, really, isn't it? You know, once you spent that much money and done that much training, you might as well.
Yes, you did very well.
And from here, you then have your pony line. And these are kind of washing line type affairs, ponies tied up in groups, bickering, kicking each other, you know, usual stuff. They're little, they're feisty, and they're tough. These are the toughest things I've ever ridden. They have years of breeding that is stunning, because these horses are not allowed to be exported. Every 10 years they have a Zud winter. Currently the temperature is minus 35 in Ulaanbaatar, so on the plains and steppes it'd be even colder. These animals survive on very little all winter, and every 10 years with this massive winter, probably 70% of them die. So this is selection in its finest, and they are stunning creatures, but they're different from what we expect. You also have your new friends. These people can make or break your day, and they'll watch you and they'll see how your horsemanship is and whether they want to give you their pride and joy. And I found them to be just wonderful people, very generous in giving us their ponies, and a certain sense of humour, but I guess, you know, that's how it goes. So all this training, all this stuff gets you to the start line. That's me. I missed the picture. That's Kerry, who I will talk about later. It's a lovely picture of Kerry, but you can see my nose. It's there. So you have 43 riders, you have a drone, you have TV cameras, the shaman's blessed you, but he's running late. You know, it's absolute chaos. And then you have 43 riders riding like they stole it. And that is it. That's the chaos of a Mongol Derby start. And away you go. It was actually lovely to get started, because you've been trying to, you know, work on this for months. The people who I met as I went along, who finished, had thought about it every day, had done some sort of training for it every single day, for somewhere between 7 and 10 months. Some people didn't get through. You need to work for this, because if you want something, and you really want something, you're prepared to put the work in, aren't you? And that taught me some amazing things, because it taught me, actually, you can do anything from that little zone, can't you? If you want it, if you're prepared to put the work in. Good lesson. I learnt it. Anyway, my first pony, very average. Little bit footsore, so I gently took him into vet gate 1, or station 1 as they call it, and I saw the station from a long way away, and it was chaos, because of course 25 riders or so had got there ahead of me. And so I got off my little pony and led him in. They're not very good at being led, they're just not used to it. And so I led him in. He was like, "What are you doing? I'm leading you, get on with it." And in we went, got to the station, checked in, took the saddle off, vet did the pulse rate, was down to the required 56. Ooh, I would have so preferred 64. There's a big difference to 56. Those of you who've been here a long time, there used to be rides that it was lower, but this. So, and then I was walking over, saddle, bridle, you know, thinking this is going okay. And a little cute Mongolian girl comes up to me, and I think, oh, she's so beautiful, takes my hand and leads me over to Daddy, because Daddy's got a pony for me. And I look at the pony, and it's got girth rubs, so it's had a saddle on before. You like that. And little girl's so cute, and Daddy helps me tack up, and I get on, and then I realise that perhaps I should have thought more about this, because this is the bronking bucker. And as I'm on this, I realise that my stay on this pony may not be long for this world. And we're bucking and going round a circle, and I'm doing everything I can to get control of the head, because the more you can pull the head over, the less they can use their back end to get rid of you. And the front of the saddle's holding me nicely there. So this is continuing. And we're bronking round, and Chad's there with his TV camera filming it all. And eventually, I managed to see one of the riders leaving the station. So I manoeuvred it, as I see all these people moving away, and I manoeuvred it towards the guy who's leaving. And fortunately, it took off after that. I managed to get control of this particular animal about 5 miles later. And as I'm going out, I'm going, "Have you got any steering? No. Have you got any brakes? No. Okay." Which was a fairly standard conversation as you left stations, because you would leave at various speeds from slow to flat out, really. I managed to clock one at 36k, which I thought was quite impressive. So, you then kind of get into a routine of sussing out your horse fairly quickly. Do people stand back when they tack it up? Has it got girth rubs? Does it kick? And, you know, it goes, yeah, it tootles along. The first couple of days I was on my own. I'd like to say this was me, but it wasn't. But Gillian Herbert, who was the photographer, took some great pictures and he let me have them. And that's a standard Mongolian time out there. Some people rode alone, some people were with people. The first night I stayed in one of the gurs. Gurs are amazing things. There's felt and plastic and wood and these things, I mean, they'll be wrapped up nice and warm in them with their little fire-burning dung. I just imagine 35 degrees below. That looks like a rider gur. So an average station would have a pit toilet, somewhere to wash your hands, a rider gur, a family gur, where they'd make food. We talk about food a lot on this. And then there would be a vet gur where you weren't your rider shoe. And that's obviously a rider gur because the saddle's casually tossed. First couple of nights in those, really enjoyed it. One of Julian's lovely pictures, they had coloured horses, lots of them, really interesting. And they're all around about 13, 14 hands. They're not big, but they're tough. And really, also, you are just an accessory. It's like, oh God, it's that time of year, is it? You're going to be riding us. Oh well. Winter, which is tough, and then I get ridden. Great. And that is their attitude. And showing them affection, rubbing them on the withers, you could feel the, oh, what's that? Because these are working animals. It's just different to what we're used to. These people are tough. Goat herders, primarily, yaks if you've got the altitude, some cows, the odd sheep. If they're not riding horses with they've got an immaculate motorbike, which they're very proud of. You have to go and look at it and go, that's really beautiful. Because they're just so proud of these things. You know, this is civilization coming. It's amazing. So into the first couple of stations, you have a penalty system. The penalty system kind of sorts things out. If you ride badly, you're going to get a penalty. And that penalty evens things out. And there are 11 GER 22, where you sit these penalties out, and then in real time. So if you get a penalty at 23, you sit it out at 23. So negligent riding, high heart rate. So I got a heart rate penalty on my first day because I was sussing it out. Endurance riders aren't actually much good at this because we're not sussing out the horse. We know our own horses. This is different. And I knew that. So I was like, oh, well, you know, I've learnt from it. And I ended up with a heart rate penalty because there was an altitude increase and I didn't quite suss it because I was just trying to stay on, etc. Curfew. If you're out before 7 and out after 8:30, the penalties get steeper and steeper. And so you make sure you come into a station or stop, tracker, stop, put on ground. You know, you must, otherwise you'll get hour penalties. Yes, please. What else have we got? Misuse of tracker. You have this tracker, you've got two really good buttons, SOS and help. Help is, I need your help. But SOS is, I really need your help. I was lucky. Didn't need either. It was good. And if the crew carry you forward, you get a big penalty. I was also lucky with another one. We'll come back to that later. Oh, yes. So I get into one station and I've got kind of an hour and a half. I could get out. I could go, you know, clear this station and move on. So, great. Pick this lovely, feisty-looking animal. He's just beautiful. He's full of life. And he's really well behaved. I get on him quite quickly. It's best. And then he charged forward to this particular herder, knocked him to the ground, broke his nose. So he's lying there unconscious. I'm up on a horse thinking, ooh. And then he went for the stamp. And I don't know if you know this with horses, but when they're going to kill something, they'll just rear up and go poof, with both feet. and I could see this coming, so I managed to get him over to the other side. Very fantastic core. And I thought, great, we're all alive. And then the pony took off with me at high speed, and there were ditches all around, you could see them. So it was quite interesting. By the time I got all this sorted, I had 20 minutes before curfew. And I'm thinking as logically as anyone can think, having been up from 7 in the morning, days into riding, thinking, how am I going to hobble that? How am I going to get those hobbles on that animal? Those two on the front legs and that on another leg. Because I've seen how clever he is with his legs. And I thought, not good. So I claimed a moment of rare common sense, turned around, went back to the station. And when I got there, they were like, oh, we're so relieved. we weren't sure what you were going to do out there. I was like, no, nor did I. And so I had a night in the station. And the next day, I had the pleasure of riding out with Kerry. And we decided to ride together that day, see how it goes. Because you've got to ride your own ride, and I'd already ridden with someone who got me lost. I had to help him back on his horse. Lots of other bits and pieces that you really don't need, because you must look after yourself. The horses are going to look after themselves. And it's about you monitoring what you can physically do and how you can manage yourself. We're not there yet. So, Kerry and I had lots of conversations about food. She introduced me to Pro Plus and Sweeties. Now, if you're ever having a bad Monday morning, Pro Plus followed by Sweeties makes it so much better. She also introduced me to caffeine goo one morning, because with this ride, if you're going to finish, you're going to lose time at some stage with a lame horse. You're going to have a horse that doesn't want to go. He should be made into soup. You know, things aren't going to go well, and you're going to have challenges. So you're going to lose at least a day, and you've got to get a wiggle on. And so there isn't really time to eat. And one day, I'm particularly irritable with food, and Kerry says, do you fancy a strawberry and cream goo or a caffeine espresso love brew? And I was like, stop taking the piss. I really just can't cope with it. She's like, no, which one do you want? And I was like, food. These things are wonderful. With caffeine, I've just learnt with endurance sports, you have these towards the finish, otherwise you get the dip that goes with it. That can go round. The other thing I had with me in my 5 kilos is lots of protein bars. And I actually shared them with Kerry. Now that doesn't sound like much, does it? But actually, when it's all you've got, and you've got a kilo of food, it's huge. There was one day I gave Kerry my last, she doesn't know this, we shall see this now. I gave her my last boiled sweet. I was like, I've got 2, you have this one, because I knew she needed feeding. So there we go. There's a bunch of them in here. I use all of these in England, and they're all really good. So have a look, pass them round. I've counted them. What else can we talk about? Kerry and I gradually learnt to work together as a team. And I'm sure you've had this experience riding with another rider, that you have someone in front who's the dog bait, and you have the other rider behind going, the dog's clear now, you can slow down, because you do get chased a lot. And you have someone else who can go, I've got the fast horse today, I'll lead today, you chill at the back. If I do something stupid, please would you tell me? And we gave each other complete permission to do this. And I had a text from her this morning saying, I miss riding with you. And I sent one back saying, I miss riding with you. And she just went, 2020? I was like, don't do that. So, yeah, it's a huge bond. And it's lovely to be with someone. It reduces the workload. And it means also with your GPS, which has been preloaded with the route, you can check you're going the right way. You can check it's going well. You can actually get your head round. This is station 24. You're coming. Is that 24? Is it 23? And so on. That's your lifeline. Lots of spare batteries. Unspoken support, empathy, the voice of reason. She wouldn't let me choose any feisty horses. She was right, because you gradually get more tired. We had some great moments together. We had moments of riding with herds of wild horses, which was just something that will stay with me forever. We camped on the side of a mountainside, and a herd of wild horses came into the spring where we were, and you could hear them snuffling and whickering and drinking. It was awesome. It really was. There was one well, and there were wild horses all around, and we just gently shuffled our horses in, and we were welcomed by the herd. And moments like that are just bliss. And then you go back to racing. We had our low points together, Kerry and I. We both had lame horses. We both had horses with thumps. We had horses with thumps because of global warming, the rains were late. Because the rains were late, the grass hadn't grown. Because the grass hadn't grown, they hadn't had their vitamins and their little micronutrients that they all needed. So lots of horses had thumps. And it was interesting. We also got to see the locals catching their horses. Big pole, loop on, child about 6, who can ride better than you could ever dream of. And the next one, please. And that would be your classic little child who would probably not even got a saddle on, come and show you how good they are. They are amazing. Yes. That's a standard Mongolian view. That was from the top of a mountainside, which you'll see from the next slide. Kerry didn't know how to... Kerry's from Zambia. That's where she lives, but she's British. And because out there they don't hack, because it's not particularly safe in that country to hack. So we went down a mountainside, and she was like, how do we do that? And who knows how to go down the side of a mountain with rocks and things? How do you do it?
Slowly, gently inside.
Yes! She didn't know that, and lots of people didn't know that. And we don't teach these things, do we? We don't teach trailcraft. So Kerry was like, I can't go down that. And I was like, oh, just follow me. I'm going to get off and lead. And we literally zigzagged all the way down. And it was... Oh, he would. We had a John Wayne with us. There was a John Wayne with us who tried, but we didn't see him again because he didn't stay with us. Yeah. So Kerry was very proud of herself for that. And there were little moments like that you just see someone else's experience. And we also had different experience, so put the two together was amazing. She was a dressage rider, she said. She's also very fit, because there are occasions when your average station is 40k, so if you have a horse that goes lame in the middle, you're going to have to walk it out, So you're going to have to be quite fit, and I never heard a peep of moan or anything. We, both of us, decided we were going to become the shed queens. In Mongolia, if you rock up at someone's place and knock on the door, they'll take you in. And these people have nothing, very little. And we decided one of the disadvantages of being with people is they want to find out all about you, and all you want to do is sleep. So we decided to stay in goat sheds. And Kerry was the shed spotter, and I was the bed maker. Yes, please. And that was one of my finer ones, because you want to be off the ground, obviously. Here you can see a bivvy bag. I didn't know what a bivvy bag was. Who knows what a bivvy bag is? I'm impressed. Plastic bag, your bedding goes inside. So bedding-wise, I did a lot of research on this, because I know I like my creature comforts. So I had a lovely thermarest, which reflects the heat. You blow it up, but it weighs nothing. Do you want me to pass it round, or? There you go, Anna. I have a sleeping bag that's the best thing in the world. I love Google. 232 grams down to -10. I know. I loved that. I have my bivvy bag, but the Wessex... No. It's down. I think I Febrezed it a bit. Why did you ask that? I feel a real heel now. What else have we got? Yeah.
So there's rats and stuff like that in the milk.
No rats. You get marmots. and marmot holes. One of those got me, and I had a tumble, but yes. Rats and marmot holes. I didn't see any rats. Anything out in the open is going to be eaten by something fairly quickly. There are wolves there. Just having a look. Oh, yes. One of our favourite stops was a pen, and it was a walled pen. Look at that smile. Do you know, in like 2 minutes it went horribly wrong, but that smile was there just for a moment. And there's this pen, and these horses didn't really get on. And I brought them over in their bridles, I unhobbled them. Note to self, do not do that again. And they bickered. And where they were tied up, one of them was tied to a pole, backed away from the pole snapped. The horse thought the pole was chasing him. No! Fortunately, the pole came off fairly quickly, and they both canter off back to this corner. And Kerry and I, because this is 5'5" high, Kerry and I like, it's okay, we'll catch them. They jumped it. They jumped a 5'5" brick wall and cleared off into the distance. At which point Kerry and I looked at each other and went, jumpers. They're jumpers. They can't be jumpers. They are. They can do anything, these ponies. At this point, I became the person who, we found a girl, 2 men there. Not terribly good to be winning with 2 men, but there we go. And I did my best acting, because that was my strong role. And my acting was, you get it, don't you? These guys didn't. So we stomped off and went to look for our horses, and they came after us in their car, and they helped us look for them in the various local herds, because they'll just go back to a local herd. Couldn't see them. And they drove us to the next station, and we were given more horses, and the animals did turn up. I did find that out. A standard Mongolian day. We were lucky. We went from really cold mountainous to a lush green valley. It was amazing to see the difference that nutrition makes in the people, the animals, the whole way of life. Just stunning. And this is gradually getting greener and more beautiful. And it's all for these little animals, full of character. That one had won a horse race, so he had the blue scarf on him. I'm just having a look. We had a lot of adventures, which I would love to tell you about, but you'll never get home. So I'm afraid I've skipped on to the finish. And we rode for 8 days, and this is us coming in on the last leg. We also, it was really bizarre, because it was like, oh, I want this to end. Oh no, I don't want this to end. Oh, I want this to end. Because you know you haven't made it to station 26 where you're kicked in the head and you're instantly taken out. You know it's just there, that you don't want it to end, but it's just there, and then I can have a meal and a wash, and won't that be nice? But I don't want this to end, because it's the most amazing, full-on, high-volume experience I've ever had in my life. So the photographers came out to meet us, and we played. We had a lovely time. We picked, Kerry loved the coloured horses, and I liked the little tough ones, feisty ones. I was allowed to pick a feisty one for the last one. And yeah, we have a friendship that will endure. And the next slide is us coming into the finish as the first Brits home equal 11th. Thank you. Just such a relief. And you cross that line and you eventually get vetted and you pass. and your pony's taken away and you're given a saddle and told to go that girl over there and put it down there, and everything's taken away from you and you're directed to a girl where you just sit and you think, oh, what shall I do? What shall I do now after that awesome experience? It's so bittersweet. I knew the last day I was beginning to use up the last reserves I had. I'd lost 6 kilos and I didn't have much left. And that was in 8 days riding. So I sat there and brushed my hair. That took an hour. I learned that if you have long hair and you plait it to the side, it doesn't get tangled. You know that tangle you get at the back when you ride? Well, I do. If you do it to the side, you don't get them. Also, buffs. Buffs are brilliant because you can hide so much under a buff. Oh, there was one. Is there a Union Jack buff around? Yeah, can you grab it? Buff gave us lots of nice things, and I had my Union Jack buff, but you can hide your hair. It's just so good. While we're there, I'm going to pass the bride around. Ooh, just for fun. Here we go. Hotel won't mind, will they? So kind of you brush your hair, Kerry went for a shower, and you just sit there absolutely almost dumbstruck. It's very bizarre. And there's noise, and there's people, and there's food, and there's chocolate, and it's all very loud. And then you're not present anymore. Because this amazing sport that we have called endurance allows us to be in this very moment, doesn't it? You can't think about the heart rate penalty you got or what's going on at home. You can't think of the future of what's going to happen when you get home. You have to be totally engaged, don't you? Because otherwise you just can't do it. And it made me reflect on our lovely sport, which of course Heather has a passion for, as indeed I do, and how present you have to be, and how our lives don't let us be present. You have these things, tablets and phones and all these other things that demand attention, but actually you can be in the now, having a life-changing experience just riding around the block. And if you actually want to go and do something as stupid as this, you can go and stretch your boundaries. And this has taught me so much. You know, I stressed about the little things. Why? You know, if you prepare for stuff, it's going to work out for you. It really will. The Mongolians say to ride a horse is to borrow freedom. Ooh, I like that. And also, Kerry had a wonderful African proverb, which she said a lot. And we rode together for 6 days. And to ride fast, you need to ride alone. To ride far, you need to ride together. Now, isn't that appropriate to our sport where it is at the moment? You know? I want to ride far with my little mare that some of you may have seen, and we ride together. It's just awesome. So this was an amazing life reset for me. People who actually looked you in the eye and engaged with you, they had nothing, but they were far happier than most people I see in our so-called sophisticated and beautiful Western world. I hope that you will take things from this talk. I hope that you'll know where you are and where you want to be. You know, it's a one-time party, this life, and there are so many things we can go and do and go and enjoy. And go and do them. I stretch those boundaries. And it's not, I think there shouldn't be a boundary around there. I think it's just the whole of the rest. Because it's so beautiful to go and just be in the moment with horses. And you have that amazing opportunity, don't you? And you can do anything you want, provided you put in the preparation and you want it. So, that's kind of me. It's really up to you now to go and do stuff and enjoy stuff. And I really wish you every success and joy for 2018, because if you want it, it's there. Thank you. Sorry, Heather.
Well, I think that's amazing. I mean,